Today I wanted to say that I was wrong about Uncle from Another World. Uncle from Another World, if you haven't heard, is a reverse isekai. Kind of. Not a reverse isekai. It's not quite that. It's not like Devil's a part-timer.
Tell me, Satan, why would the King of Darkness be working part-time at a McDonald's?
But if you haven't heard, Uncle from Another World is a Netflix original anime series about an uncle that spent 17 years in another world and then recently got back to the present day. It's about him and his nephew and the uncle telling his nephew what happened in the other world and readjusting to normal life 17 years later. And overall, it's just funny. Now, going into it, I'm not a huge isekai fan. I haven't watched a whole lot, but I wanted to give this one a try. And I'm now caught up with the first 7 episodes and it is fantastic. I was totally wrong about it. It is hilarious. Everyone who watches anime or has seen an isekai knows Truck-kun, which is the joke about the truck that hits a person and then that kills him and then that's how they get sent to the other world. Well, I knew something was different about this series when in the very first scene, even like the first few shots, you see the main character, the nephew, walking across the street and then a big truck is coming and I thought, oh boy, here we go. And then the truck just like misses him. And I was like, oh, I see what you did there. Okay. And so I was hooked at least for a little bit longer to see what happens. And this uncle, when he returns, starts speaking in another language, the language of the place that he was from, Grambalahaman or something like that. Grambalahaman. Grambahalaman. If I looked this up, I could probably figure it out, but it's more fun to do this. So then this uncle just starts using magic, and his nephew's like, holy crap, that's awesome. And so what did the two decide to do together? Make a YouTube channel showing off like all the things that his uncle can do. What's interesting about the show is it's not just, you know, an isekai or a slice of life comedy. It's also a deconstruction of social media and like content, and it helps us to see the world today through the eyes of someone that's still stuck in the year 2000. And so it's been really eye-opening for me personally, as a person that uses social media, to be like, oh my gosh, that for me is like totally normal, but to him like it's so weird. And if I put it in that context, oh yeah, all the things that we do today is like super weird. Also, real quick, the voice cast in this is stellar. I'm gonna name off some of the few people that are in this show and a few of their other roles that you might know them from. So playing the uncle is Takehito Koyasu, who plays Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and Zeke Yeager from Attack on Titan, and his most well-known role, Optimus Prime in Transformers Cyberverse. The role of the nephew, whose name is Takafumi, is played by Jun Fukuyama, who you may know as Joker from Persona 5, Koro-sensei from Assassination Classroom, Lelouch, I don't know, from Code Geass, and his most famous role, Madeline Cookie from Cookie Run Kingdom. Now, Takafumi also has a childhood friend that he hasn't seen for many years who shows up, and she is really interested in him, but he doesn't quite see it. And she is played by Mikako Komatsu, who plays Maki from Jujutsu Kaisen, Rebecca from Eden Zero, and her most famous role, Papuko from Pop Team Epic. But what I love about this show is that I am just as invested in the interpersonal slice of life part of the show as I am the flashbacks of what happened in the other world. And the best episodes are in the middle, the ones where it balances both of those really well. It's like episode 4 or 5 or something. Fujimiya and Takafumi are watching the uncle's memories through magic or whatever. It becomes super clear that all these girls are super into the uncle, but he's just so not aware of it. And one of the funniest parts was when Takafumi was like, oh my gosh, this dude has no idea that this elf is a tsundere, because like that term was like popularized after he had already left. So he thought that she was just a jerk the whole time. And it's so funny because he obviously sees that this elf is into his uncle, but the uncle does not see it at all. But at the same time, in beautiful irony, Takafumi has no idea that Fujimiya likes him, but the uncle is super aware of it. And you're like, what? How can you like notice that in another person, but like not in your own life? That's kind of how life goes, you know? I could probably tell when someone likes somebody else, but I am so not sure if somebody likes me. So like, it's kind of realistic in a way. And the biggest theme of this show, I would say, is not belonging and not being normal. Most like isekai protagonists are kind of outsiders. They're otaku, they're neets, they're shut-ins, they, you know, love like the nerdy gamer culture and are not great at real life. But once they get to the isekai world, they like know what they're doing. But this show just completely destroys that because one, the uncle didn't like RPGs. And whereas most people would go in and be like, oh, this is just an RPG, I know exactly what to do. The uncle is like, this is taking too long. I'm just gonna do what I want to do. And also another thing with isekai protagonists is they're usually like super attractive and they get harems. And this is like, you know, he does get kind of a hero a little bit. One of his like most defining features is that he is apparently very ugly compared to the beautiful people of the world that he got sent into, in the sense that they think that he's like an orc variant and they are constantly like hunting him down and trying to kill him because they think he's an orc just immediately, which is such a departure from what you see in other isekai. So like it's really sad actually, but it's also kind of funny because you just like seeing the inverse of things. Seeing something not happen the way that it's supposed to is funny. What can I say? And continuing along this theme of, you know, not belonging, of being different, the uncle loves Sega, and he loves like the Sega Mega Drive and Sega Saturn, all those like old consoles. And, you know, I've actually learned more about Sega and its games and its controllers and things like that in this show than I have in real life. And I made a little list of some of the Sega games that he's referenced as of episode 7. We've got Sonic the Hedgehog, Alien Soldier, Puyo Puyo Sun, Guardian Heroes, Dynamite Hedy, Altered Beast, and Pulse Man. I know maybe like 2 of those things. And so it's just funny to show that usually most isekai, the main character doesn't belong in the world that they're in. They enter the other world and they're like, I belong here, I'm awesome here, everybody loves me. But the uncle, who's an outcast in his own world, is still an outcast in the other world. And it's just super socially awkward, and it's just, I don't know, it just pokes fun at all the normal tropes of isekai. One of the Sega games he mentioned that I never heard of, Dynamite Hedy, he mentions it at one part of the episode. Let me show you what it is real quick.
Dynamite Hedy no fingi mitaiな魅惑的な目じゃないか.
So I was like, oh, that's nice, what a nice compliment, he likes her eyes. And then I looked up what it is. You think she looks like that? I'd be insulted. I would be so insulted, sir. But anyway, if you are looking for a new show to watch this season, Uncle from Another World is a great time. It pokes fun at isekai, it deconstructs not just the genre of isekai, but our own world and the way that we live our lives with social media and everything. And definitely give it a shot. I think it's worth a watch. So, thank you for watching, and keep watching anime.